Right now, the good Jagan and the business Jagan, these two are in a debate, in an argument uh, about this business and how to treat the uh, poor children. Poor country, most people cannot afford even rice for 3 meals a day. So that is the level of the poverty. So normally people eat 3 meals a day, but in this situation, in this country, in this society, people cannot afford to eat rice for 2 meals a day, right? Not the three, but two, at least two. So the good Jagan starts thinking, when I cease to be a merchant, when I stop becoming a merchant, I'll, if I am not a merchant, I will. But sugar costs 1.30 per kilogram, and flour and butter, real low fake, cost thrice. And our business Jagan Nigam argue karna, Arajaganta Viruddhava. So how can you look at the price of the food items, ingredients, not make 70 paisa each, market each, 170 paisa you have to pay. They used to be got in handfuls for the smallest coin. And what halwa would be worth its name if you didn't crush a little nutmeg on it? So these are essential ingredients, and the price of these ingredients are high. So how can you give free sweets when you have spent a lot of money on these ingredients to manufacture these sweets? Then after that, how can you give free? When the cousin emerged from the kitchen, wiping his mouth with the towel, Jagan said, as a continuation of his thoughts on social problems. So in his mind, he was in an argument, he was in a debate of how to treat these poor people and how to overcome this economical crisis. As a continuation, he says, which for the moment swamped in his private sorrow. So he has personal feeling towards this, his personal idea, his personal sorrow as a continuation. Do you realize how few ever really understand how fortunate they are in their circumstances? So we have a lot of problems, right? We have a lot of difficulties, circumstances. But have you ever thought how lucky you are with your problems? If I ask you, are you happy? No. Why? I have this problem, that problem, this one, this. You can continue. But you every time compare with more affluent ones. අපි compare කරන්නේ අපේ ජීවිත අපිට වඩා උඩින් ඉන්න අය එක්ක. අපිට වඩා උඩින් ඉන්න අය එක්ක අපේ ජීවිත compare කරලා අපි කියනවා how unlucky we are. ඒ උඩ ඉන්න මිනිස්සයා එයාටත් උඩ ඉන්න කෙනෙක් එක්ක compare කරලා හිතනවා how lucky, how unlucky. නේද? මම දැක්ක ලස්සන කාටුන් එකක් ඕක ඉන්ටර්නෙට් එකේ තියෙනවා. දැන් හොඳ ලිමෝසින් එක යන මිනිස්සෙක් හිතනවා හෙලිකොප්ටර් එක යන මිනිස්සෙක් දැකලා. මටත් හෙලිකොප්ටරයක් තිබුණා. හොඳ ජීප් එකක යන මිනිස්සෙක් අර ලිමෝසින් කාර් එකක් දැකලා හිතනවා මටත් ලිමෝසින් එකක් තිබුණා. සාමාන්‍ය කාර් එකක යන මිනිස්සෙක් හිතනවා ජීප් එකක් ගන්න තිබුණා නම් නේද? අර මිනිස්සෙක් නම් හොඳයි ජීප් එකක්. මොටර් සයිකල් එක යන මිනිස්සෙක් හිතනවා නේ මටත් අර මිනිස්සෙට වගේ කාර් එකක් තිබුණා නම්. ෆුට් සයිකල් එක යන මිනිස්සෙක් හිතනවා මටත් මොටර් සයිකල් එකක් ගන්න තිබුණා. කොච්චරද? පයින් යන මිනිස්සෙක් හිතනවා මට පුක් සයිකලයක් ගන්න තිබුණා. කකුල් දෙකම නැති මිනිහෙක් හිතනවා මට කකුල් දෙකක් තිබුණා. That is how we think every time. ඔක අනිත් පැත්තට බලාගෙන ආවම we can see how lucky we are. කාර් එකක් තියෙන මිනිස්සයා ඊට වැඩිය පල්ලෙහා කී දෙනෙකුට වඩා lucky. නේද? මොටර් සයිකලයක් තියෙන මිනිස්සයා ඊට පල්ලෙහා ඉන්න කී දෙනෙකුට වඩා lucky කෙනෙක්. So we don't try to think how lucky we are with our circumstances. අපි නිතරම කල්පනා කරන්නේ අපේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න ටික ගැන විතරයි. ඒ ප්‍රශ්න ටිකත් එක්ක අපි අපේ ජීවිතය කඩා වැටෙනවා. හැබැයි අපි හිතන්නේ අපිට වැඩි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන කොච්චර මිනිස්සු අපිට වැඩි පහළ ඉන්නවා. Right? මේක තමයි කියන්නේ. So how few of us think that how lucky we are with their circumstances. The cousin nodded the general approval, secretly puzzled. ඕන එකකට ඕකේ කියන්න වගේ. Not. And just started thinking what this profound thinker might be driving at. What is he going to tell? They all forgot or get used to things. That's the way of the world, he said. So we have problems. But with the time, we get used to them. Or else we forget them. And we continue our lives. The ප්‍රශ්න වලට අපි හුරු වෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඕවා කාලයක් යද්දී අමතක වෙලා. Especially young men, said Jagan, they are a problem everywhere. Now Jagan has Mali's problem. But he doesn't directly accuses Mali. මාලිව directly accuse කළා මේ කතාව කියන්නේ නැහැ. එයා මේක generalize කරනවා to the whole young generation, especially these young men. There are a problem everywhere. I was reading a little while ago somewhere. I tried to quote from some sort of report on the youth of today. Youth of today ද මොකක්ද එකක් කියලා මම දැන් චුට්ටකට කලින් පොට්ටකට කලින් මේ කොහෙදද කියෙව්වා මට මතක නෑ කියලා බොරු කියන්නේ. Hey, now he is dealing with his private sorrow, right? His personal issue, and he generalizes that one and complains to the whole young generation, right? එම මුළු young generation එකටම දාලා ඒ මුළු generation එකම criticize කරනවා මාලිවත් ඇරලා. Although he could not remember where he had read it or what it said. එහෙම එකක් කියවපු නැති නිසා එහෙම එක දැක්කේ කොහෙද කියුවේ කොහෙද කියලා හරියටම කියන්න බෑ. It takes one nowhere, said Kasim sympathetically. His mind gloating over the memory of the sweet he had eaten. ජගන් මේ වගේ ලොකු ඉෂුව එකක් කතා කරාට මිනිහට ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන කාපු ස්වීට්ස් ගැන. The conversation thus was proceeding smoothly thus when Jagan said abruptly, at once he said, Mali's displaying strange notions, strange ideas, notions. Mali's displaying strange ideas. Jagan opened his eyes widely to register appropriate reaction. Right. Not being certain how critical he could sound of Mali. Right. So normally he doesn't criticize Mali. So he sounds so criticizing. ඒක නිසා appropriate විදියට surprise එක පෙන්නුවා. Jagan explained. The cousin suddenly assumed a definite stand and said, it would be best to know what the boy is thinking. Right? So the best thing is don't assume. තමන් හිතින් හිතලා අනුමාන කරලා දේවල් හිතන්න යන්න එපා. Best thing is talk to Mali and find out the reason. Our education methods being what they are today, එයා කොලෙජ් යන එක රිජෙක්ට් කරනවා නම් ඒක මාලිගේ වැරද්දක් වෙන්න බෑ. Right? Our education system, the fault is there in the education system. මේ අධ්‍යාපන ක්‍රමේ නිසා ළමයින්ට ඉගෙන ගන්න එක පා වෙලා තියෙන්නේ නේද? ජෙනරල් ටොපික් එකනේ කොහොමත් ඔය කියන නේද? ඒක නිසා නව අධ්‍යාපන ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණ ගේන්න ඕනේ. ළමයින්ට අධ්‍යාපනයේ බරක් වෙලා. I was always hoping that he'd be a graduate, underline. So that is Jagan's expectation, that one day Mali would be a graduate. Right? So as a father, that is Jagan's expectation, that one day Mali would be a graduate. And that's the basic qualification one should have. Don't you think so? Jagan added with a sigh. If I had passed BA, I could have done so many other things. So Jagan could not pass BA. Oh, that means Jagan could not obtain a degree. So that he wants to see his son as a graduate. That is the natural expectation of every parent. Parents la expectation එක. They want their children to go where they could not. තමන්ට යන්න බැරි වෙච්ච තැනට තමන්ගේ ළමයි අරගෙන යන එක තමයි parents like වැඩේ. That is their expectation. So Jagan could not go to university, or he could not complete his degree. So that he wants Mali to be a graduate. If I had passed BA. But it was not to be. And yet what's lacking in your present state? What do you need more? What is lacking? Monavada adu in your present state. I had to leave the college when Gandhi ordered us to non-cooperate. මේ ජගන් කියන කතාවයි ඇත්ත කතාවයි දෙකක්. හොඳද? නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කන්ෆියුස් වෙයි මෙතනින් එහාට මේක එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරගෙන යද්දි. මතක තියාගන්න ජගන් මෙතන කියන කතාවයි රියැලිටි එකයි දෙකක්. ජගන් මෙතන එන බොරුවක් කියන්නේ. එයා එක්ස්කියුස් එකක් දෙනවා එයාට ග්‍රැජුවේට් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න බැරි වෙච්ච එකට හේතුව. Right? I had to leave the college when Gandhi ordered us to non-cooperate. Right? So that is the reason. Jagan could not obtain his degree just because Gandhi ordered them to non-cooperate and they have to leave the college. I spent the best of my student years in prison, said Jagan, feeling heroic. Right? Although he missed the university education, he feels that he's a hero. Why? He joined in the freedom struggle and spent the times in the prison. So he feels heroic. His reminiscent mood slurring over the fact that Jagan cutting ඔය කතාව කිව්වට his mind, he remembers something else. මොකද්ද? The fact that he had failed several times in BA. He could not get the degree, not because of this freedom struggle and not because that Gandhi asked them to non-cooperate. The truth is he failed. එයා fail වෙච්ච එක දැන් ගාන්ධික පිටින් දාලා වහගන්නවා. Several times in the BA and ceased to attend the college. So he failed repeatedly and stopped going to college and had begun to take the examination as a private candidate. And after that, he became a private candidate and sat for the examination, still failed. Private exam karla failed. That is the reason why he could not get his degree. Not because of Gandhi. But what excuse can these boys have for refusing to study? ඔයගොල්ලන්ටත් ඔක ගෙවල් වල කියනවා. අපේ කාලේ නම් මෙහෙම තිබුණේ නැහැ. අපිට මෙච්චර පහසුකම් තිබුණේ නැහැ. මේ ළමයින්ට මොනවයින් අඩුවද? හැමදේම අතට පයට කරලා දෙන්න. නේද? ෆිසිකල් බැරි නම් ඔන්ලයින් ක්ලාස් උත් හොයලා දෙන්න. එහෙමත් කරලා. නේද? කියලා පේරන්ට්ස් ළමයි. ඕගොල්ලොත් කවදා හරි දවසක ඔය ටික කියයි. නේද? ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ ළමයින්ට උගන්වන කාලේ මේ ළමයින්ට නම් මොනවයින් අඩුවද? නේද? අන්න අපි ඉස්කෝලේ ගිහිපු කාලේ බෝම්බ ගහලා ඉස්කෝලේ වැහුවා. තෙල් නැතුව ඉස්කෝලේ වැහුවා. අරගල කරලා ඉස්කෝලේ වැහුවා. මහා වසංගතයක් ඇවිල්ලා අවුරුදු ගණන් ඉස්කෝලේ වහලා තිබුණා. එහෙමයි අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තේ. කියලා ඕගොල්ලන්ට හොඳ එක්ස්කියුස් එකක් තියෙන දවසක කියන්නේ. right? But what excuse can these boys have for refusing to study? He asked the cousin. Ever a man of caution repeated, "It's worth finding out from the boy himself. Why didn't you have a talk with him?" Don't assume. Why don't you talk? Just talk to the boy and find out. Why don't you have a talk? Why don't you? Asked Jagan in a tone of pointless challenge. So useless, pointless challenge. මේ පිට මිනිස්සෙකුට challenge කරලා හරින ඇයි ඔයා අහන්නේ නැත්තේ කියලා. right? ඒක not suitable. ජගන්ටත් ඒක පස්සේ තේරෙනවා. He has called you uncle ever since he could list the syllables. point එකක් ජගන් දෙනවා. මොකක්ද? Mali has been calling cousin uncle ever since he could lisp the syllable. Lisping the syllables means wrongly pronouncing the syllables, sounds. Right? So normally, kids who cannot speak properly or who just start talking wrongly pronounce the sounds. Latupata, kid, just kids say. Latupata, totapata. Lisping the syllables, wrongly pronouncing the syllables. Ever since, from that time, එච්චර පුංචි කාලේ ඉඳලම Mali calls you uncle. So that cousin has a right to find this. The only person to whom I am not a cousin, said the gentleman, and both of them laughed. Right? So all the others in Malgudi call him cousin. Only Mali calls him uncle. The serious burden of life returning, Jagan presently said, "You must do something about it and tell me tonight. Just go and find it and tell me." So Jagan uses cousin to find out facts about Mali, what Mali is going to do, right? Why he refuses to go to college? What are his plans if he stops going to college? So now the task is up to cousin to do. That's the end. Then at 10 that night, on that day, at 10. So normally, Jagan goes to sleep at what time? Jagan goes to sleep at 9 o'clock. At 10 that night, the cousin came up and knocked on the door. Jagan for once was awake after 9. So normally he goes to sleep at 9 o'clock. Today he is waiting until cousin comes. So cousin comes at 10 o'clock and knock on the door. The boy had retired and shut himself in his room without giving his father a chance to refer to the day's events. So Mali has directly gone into his room and shut himself, and Jagan did not have any chance to talk to the son. Jagan noticed the light burning in his room and resisted an impulse to peep through the keyhole. Now he needs to peep through the keyhole. Why? To see what Mali is doing inside the room. So he had a great impulse, great desire to peep, but resisted, controlled his feeling. I wish you had peeped in. You'd have seen what he was doing, said the cousin. When they had stolen tiptoe from Jagan's house, tiptoes, walking from the tip of the toes, that means secretly, silently, without making any noise, right? So they walk tiptoes and stroll. Stroll means walking leisurely down the road to the foot of the lowest statue. So two of them go to the lowest statue secretly and sit there and settle comfortably on the granite platform there. And there's this pedestal. Chapter 2 එකේ තිබුණා. The statue had a broad pedestal, steps which served like park benches. Pensioners, idlers, tired workmen, sickly citizens advised by the doctors to inhale fresh air sat facing north, south, west and east. අන්න ඒ pedestal එකේ steps වගේ තියෙන ඒකේ settle down comfortably වාඩි වුණාට පස්සේ කියනවා I wish you had peeped. බලන්නනේ තිබුණේ. You'd have seen what he was doing. What do you mean? Said Jagan, leaning back in the shadows of the Sir Frederick's words. Covering to the shadow of Sir Frederick. Sir Frederick එවනැල්ලට cover වෙන ගමන්. All kinds of morbid and terrifying speculations arose in Jagan's mind. Speculations mean guesses. All type of morbid, evil guesses. මෙන්න මෙතන චුට්ටක් අපිට හිතන්න වෙනවා මොකද්ද? Mali is in the room and Jagan doesn't know what he's doing. So when he had to guess, he had all the evil guesses. එහෙනම් ජගන්ට මාලි ගැන මොන වගේ අයිඩියා එකක් ඇත්තේ? How does he think about, or what does he think about his own son? That he's a moron, a mischievous one, right? One who cannot be controlled, arrogant character. Let them try. ඕවා ටක් ගාලා ඔලුවට එන්න ඕන කලින් ඉන්සිඩන්ට්ස් ඔක්කොම. මාලිගේ කැරක්ටර් එක ගැන මතක් වෙනකොට. So what is he doing there? All types of evil possibilities came to Jagan's mind. Was the boy counterfeiting money? Is he printing fake money? හොරාට සල්ලි අච්චු ගන්නවද කොල්ලා? Or murdering someone? දොරත් වහගෙන කවුරු හරි එකෙක් ගෙනලා කෑලි කප කප මරනවද? Right? එතකොට ඒ වගේ evil speculations එන්න, guesses එන්න ජගන්ට මාලි ගැන හොඳ picture එකක් පොළුවේ නැහැ. He gripped the other's wrist and commanded, "Tell me everything without concealing anything. Don't cover anything. Don't hide anything. Tell me everything." The cousin shook off the whole contemptuously without any respect, just shook off the hand. He is writing. That's all. He wants to be a writer. Ah. So that's why he shuts himself in the room. He's writing. Writer meant in Jagan's dictionary only one thing, a clerk. දැන් අපෙත් ඉස්සර කිව්වනේ ඔය ක්ලාක්ට ලියන මහත්තයා කියලා. ඒක ටිකක් කොලෝකියල් වෙනකොට ටිකක් තරහ ගියාම කියන්නේ ලියන්න කියලා. එහෙමත් කියනවා. So that is a writer. In that context, in that idea, a clerk, writer, one who writes, clerk. An Anglo-Indian colonial term since the days when Macaulay had devised the system of education to provide constant supply of clerical staff in the East India Company. So this word clerk comes from this British education system. This Macaulay is Thomas Macaulay. Thomas Macaulay is a British educationist and a member of the parliament. British parliament. ඒ කාලේ British parliament එකේ ඉඳපු කෙනෙක්. එයා educationist කෙනෙක්. So he devised the education system. එයා education system එකක් හදනවා මේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ colonial countries වලට. එකක් විදිහට රටවල් වලට. ඒ education system එකේ specialty එක තමයි now for example now you are in the system. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ education system එක ඇතුලේ ඉන්න අයනේ ළමයි. දැන් grade 1 වලට දාපු ළමයා දැන් predict කරන්න පුළුවන් ද ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ අනාගතේ ඔයා කවුරු වෙනවද කියලා. Maybe a doctor, lawyer, nurse, entrepreneur, businessman, mechanic. We don't know. Right? Can't predict. හැබැයි මේ Thomas Macaulay system එක confirmed clerks, only clerks. System එකට මේ පැත්තෙන් දැම්මා මෙලියට එන්නේ clerks ලා විතරයි. Right? So Anglo-Indian means English Indian. Anglo means English. Right? That word comes from Anglo-Saxons. Anglo-Saxons ලා කියලා කියන්නේ අපේ වැද්දෝ වගේ. Aborigines of England. England වල Aborigines ලා Anglo-Saxons. So ඒක නිසා English කියන term එක වෙනුවට පාවිච්චි වෙන්නේ Anglo කියන එක. Right? Anglo-Indian. මේක ඔයගලන්ට use කරන්න පුළුවන්. Narayan is an Anglo-Indian writer. English Indian writer. Right? An Indian writer who writes in English. Or you can say the vendor of seeds, which belongs to Anglo-Indian literature. English Indian literature. Right? මේ වචන පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඔයගලගේ answers. Anglo-Indian colonial term since the days when Macaulay had devised the system of education to provide constant supply of clerical staff for the East India Company. This East India Company is the system or the governing body that ruled India and Sri Lanka. ඔගොල්ලෝ අහලාදී පෙරදිග ඉන්දිය වෙළඳ සමාගම East India Company. Right? So in that education system, this word clerk comes. Right? Here he was trying to shape the boy into an aristocrat with a bicycle, underline, aristocrat with a bicycle, college life, with strip shirts and everything. And here he wants to be a writer. Strange. මෙතන තව point එකක් තියෙනවා මොකක්ද? Jagan appreciates, he follows Indian culture, Hindu tradition and simplicity, and he hates Western culture, right? But see, he wants his son to become an aristocrat with a college life, with strip shirts, bicycle, all these, right? Although Jagan hates this Western culture, Western tradition, practices, he likes his son to become an aristocrat, a high class person with this English background, English knowledge. Here he wants to become a writer, strange. Why does he want to be a writer? He asked. I don't know. You will have to ask him. Because he says, I don't know. You ask him. Where does he want to work? It's degrading. Huh? As a clerk, where does he want to work? He cried after all the trouble I have taken to build up a reputation and his status. He beat the bro in despair. All the problems I have endured, right? And all the trouble I have taken to build up a reputation. It never occurred to the cousin that Jagan had misunderstood the word right. And Jagan doesn't know that, cousin doesn't know that Jagan has misunderstood the word, that he's talking about a clerk. I lost no time. After you had told me this evening to go and search for the boy, I waited at the college gate. So when Jagan asked him to find out about Mali, he directly went to the college gate. Oh, did he go to the college after all? Cried Jagan ecstatically, very happily Jagan cried. Did he go to the college? Concluding that he must have eaten at the canteen. Not because that he has gone to the college to learn, but he should have eaten at the college canteen. Good. Yes, replied the cousin. It was only a farewell visit. I saw him come out with a gang of friends who patted his back and shook his hands and did all sorts of things. Shake hand, a lot of things. A couple of teachers came out, looked at him and said something. Couple of teachers came and told something to Mali. I heard him say, underline, my father has other plans. Probably he is sending me to America. Right? That is what he tells the college. Right? Then college again college my father has other plans. Probably he will send me to America. I want to become a writer. Jagan exclaimed. What he'll do in America? America indeed. Don't be hasty, don't be hurry, said the cousin slowly. He had to tell something before leaving the college. Until he demands to be sent to America, don't take notice of it. Right? So that may be just to say something to leave the college. Right? College එකේ බහැලෙන්න ඕන කමන මොකක් හරි කතාවක් කියන්නේ නැති ඒ. All sorts of ideas. Jagan cried helplessly, tapping his fingers on the granite. All sorts of ideas. එක එක විදිය අදහස්. Well, he may become the second Bharatiyo, Tagore or Shakespeare. Someday. How can you judge now? Now this is the beginning to be right. At the end, someday he would become Tagore, another Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore, one of the greatest writers. Right? Or Bharati. Or Shakespeare even. Maybe a world famous writer. How can you judge now? Then how can you judge? What would be his destiny? You can't predict. The cousin said. The truth finally dawned on Jagan. Oh, how stupid am I? Yes, of course. Writer. I know. I have become illiterate. I was a fool. Writer. I know. Not that clerk. No. I think he cried happily. It was a great relief that the son was not attentive to be the other kind of writer. Now he is happy that Mal is not going to be the other kind of writer, that means a clerk. What else did you think? The cousin asked and added, I have heard that the writers earn a lot of money nowadays. They become famous. So writing is a profitable job. Writers become famous and also they become rich. What does he want to write? I don't know. Poetry perhaps easiest to start with. When you want to become a writer, poetry is the easiest one. So Mali may be starting with poetry or stories. Poetry නෙමෙයි නම් stories වෙන්නේ නැති. What else do people write? Poetry, stories, Sharma. What else do people write? Said the cousin, not wishing to flounder in unknown seas. So he doesn't want to flounder, sink in unknown seas. නොදන්න මුහුදක ගිලෙන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ නොදන්න දේවල් ගැන කතා කරන්න ගිහලා අමාරුව වැටෙන්න ඕන නැහැ. So he said, okay, what else do people write? මිනිස් වෙන මොනවද ලියන්නේ? Right, we'll stop there. Okay.